Hi, I am Brad. We all know this. Welcome to a stream that I honestly wish I didn't have to do, actually. I like to keep my streams once a month, but yeah, let's talk about some stuff though. OLED micro display. All right, so uh I have a lot of notes for this stream, a lot of pages. Um just so I can stay on track and not forget stuff, and we can take, questions during it. Um, the reason I'm doing this stream, well, let's start with this. Let's just let's go off with this. Oh, a little quiet. What about that? What about is that better? Yeah, move this mic closer. That'll be better. Yeah. So, I made. Okay, let's just start with this. I want a reminder. I don't know how many times I need to say this, but some people get offended. I work hard, first of all, right? I hope that is clear. But despite that, this is a speculation and prediction channel. I get a lot of that stuff, a lot of my conclusions from data mining, and more recently, I've built up a very good network of friends in the supply chain for XR devices. There's not many people in the XR industry doing this when I'm talking about the supply chain stuff. Um, so that is why I've kind of blown up out of nowhere, because when I start reporting stuff I hear from the supply chain, that gets spread around fast. My immediate outlet for reporting stuff that I hear is usually Twitter. Twitter is honestly one of the worst places to report this information, honestly. It is. The main reason is you are limited. If you even write a long tweet thread, most people will read the first tweet and not read the rest that goes in to explain it. So I had to figure out ways to get past that. I like using Twitter. I like to use it to communicate things with people and get feedback about what I hear. What I think I'm going to be doing from now on Twitter when it comes to these large scale predictions on what I hear, I'm going to make images with my entire thing. It could be like a long paragraph or something, and I'm just going to post prediction update with that image. I think that's the best way I can be transparent from now on, so I don't have to do streams like this. So, um, yeah. Anyway, despite all that, I'm really thankful that I have almost 400 viewers. That is always great. I will say, I'm sorry, I just want to get past all this so I don't have to explain it anymore. I will say that I do there's a part of me that enjoys doing this, right? The YouTube part, like you people who are very supportive and enjoy this as much as I do, that makes it good. But there's the other part of me that actually feels this is a bit of an addiction and feels a little dismayed by that. So, but that is okay. After the stream, I'm going to take a real 1 week break like I was supposed to last week. So let me explain what happened. Uh, you know, I made a video last week about a an image I saw, right? I saw an image. Um, Image. I'm pretty sure it's all over the internet now. Yep. So I saw the biggest thing I saw of all of these was the front. That was the one thing I saw that I will stand by more than anything. This front array of cameras, that was the best thing my memory could recreate with the industrial designer I worked with to create this. I saw this exactly, this entire array. The one thing that was different about the final render and what I saw is these areas with the cameras were way more clear, transparent than what these show. So you know how like it looks a little blacked out? It was very blacked out for the rest of the device, but around the array, again, it was very transparent. Controllers looked exactly the same we've seen before, so that was great. And yeah, I could not see much else, but the front, I can say I saw a device that looked like this, 100%. So I made that render, right? And I was so happy. I was like, man, I can finally give up on talking about meta stuff because I don't even care that much about meta stuff, honestly. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm not excited for the I'm not too caring about this device coming out later this year. But I mean, I saw the image, I wanted to get that out there, and I figured when I upload that video, have that render made, I could just relax until the device is announced. Right? That's basically what happened. Well, a week before I did that render, you might remember I made a video called Cambria is ready for mass production. I received word that the final version of Cambria that we will get this year has reached its final version called PVT. I said DV in the video, that was purely by mistake. It was PVT, final version. They can take that version and mass produce it, basically. Almost no, you're not going to see any differences between that version and what's reaching consumers. And I got a lot of info about it. Like I was like, oh, it's not that different from Quest 2. I was explaining that it's not that different from Quest 2, but it is still different, right? Like it was more comfortable. I explained a lot in that video, right? Cross-referencing that render with sources related to that, they said that what I saw was different from the device they reportedly saw. It was similar. It was very similar, but also different. So you can imagine, after I made a big deal about this render, and I basically started searching around trying to get as much information as I can. I was like, okay, if and the big difference was the middle camera array that I swear I saw, I stand by it 100%. That thing I saw is different, apparently, in the ready for mass production Cambria. So I'm like, what did I see? So I've been searching around trying to figure out the entire week, doing a lot of research on different things, and it led me to find out a lot of other cool stuff. And I would not spend this much time researching if I wasn't told that one thing. So let's just get started. Let's get started. All right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's just start. I will read chat, but I just want to go through everything. So I made predictions today on Twitter, and let me just pull up those predictions in case you didn't see. And this is what this stream is going to be about. It's gonna be about these. Where'd my mouse go? It's gonna be about these predictions I made. If I can find the right thing. Twitter. Why is my mouse disappearing? That is so weird. I've never seen this happen before. My mouse is literally disappearing. That's so weird. Okay. Yeah, so I made this prediction based on everything I've learned up until this point. And this is months of learning to make this prediction. So this Twitter thread, I wrote Quest 2 Pro CClip, also known as Cambria, come with mini LED, and it'll be announced/released at Connect 2022. Quest 3, which is known as Eureka 865, will be announced and released soon, Connect 2023. I hope I said 2022 for this first one. Quest 3 Pro ACBright will release with OLED microdisplays, Connect 2023. The idea is they're going to release a successor to the lower end line and the high end line next year. More than next year, a year and a half from now. Right? I also heard that supply chain expects to get high quality OLED microdisplays for high tier OEMs in high quantities next year, starting next year. Apple is already going to have OLED microdisplays in their first device. But Apple is very different from the rest of the market. They can get things way earlier because they have so much sway over the manufacturing industry, it's not even fair for a lot of these companies. That being said, Meta is working very hard on getting OLED microdisplays for their devices, mostly their higher end devices. It is my belief that the device I saw with the very special camera array is a prototype or a... I say prototype. Okay, we'll explain that in a second. I believe what I saw will be very similar to what was announced and released later this year, but what I saw was a prototype for ACBright or the Quest 3 Pro. That is my belief right now, based on a lot of digging and asking around. I have talked a lot about CClip and ACBright in my... if you follow this channel, you know all about CClip and ACBright, right? There's a lot of different... there's like 3 main projects that is being revised a lot in software. And when I say software, I mean kernels, special kernels for these devices. CClip is what's going to be released this year. Mini LED. It is Cambria. It's a higher end product line. Yeah. But soon after they were getting close to finishing CClip, like most of the final components, they started working on a ACBright, which is down here. And that one was leaked to have OLED microdisplays around 3K per eye. I talked about this so many times. And then there's Eureka 865 that is also being worked on. 865 relates to... Okay, so 865 relates to Snapdragon 865. For which is the chip that the XR2 Generation 1 is based off of. Zuckerberg and Bosworth has said many times that anything that is made or released in the Quest Pro or Cambria line will reach the low-end Quest line later on. The big focuses are eye and face tracking. So it's very likely that Eureka 865 is going to be the Quest 2 or Quest 3. And they will likely have at least eye and face tracking, and probably still the same XR2 Gen 1 chip if I had to guess. If I had to guess that. Maybe they'll get XR2 Gen 2, but yeah. Anyway. So the ACBright prototype didn't have... I couldn't see. I mean, you're looking... Okay, sorry. That was... Like, you're looking at a device like this, mostly from the front. You can't tell, right? You honestly cannot tell what it has display-wise inside. You honestly can't tell. But I think it was ACBright, which is crazy. But all right. So let's continue on with this huge outline. So again, I use data mining and supply chain sources. For data mining, Omega Space. Honestly, I cannot stress enough how great it is to have a community of people who are willing to data mine leaked leaked Cambria kernels. Like, for example, I have the entire right here. You see this? This is the entire Cambria kernel right here. 1 GB of everything that's inside CClip. We have it. And thanks to and we also get a lot of leaks in the actual main Quest 2 kernel related to what's in Cambria and stuff. And just Omega thanks to these 3 people, especially Samulia. He really worked hard to make sure that I had stuff to talk about for the stream. This is a very big community effort. I want to stress that enough. People can point their hatred toward me. I'm totally okay with that. Totally okay with that. I am the figurehead for something much bigger. Okay? Big community effort, always doing this. And that doesn't even count the supply chain sources either. So, another thing with supply chain sources, which freaking is another thing that's frustrating to explain to people, I get told some things that I am specifically told not to tell other people. They'll be like, oh, I have this amazing leak, but you're not allowed to tell anyone because it came from a source that would definitely give that source away. So there's not too many of those, but there is a few notable ones. And when people ask me questions about something like that, I cannot give an exact answer because I do not want to hurt my reputation with my sources. I'm fine with hurting my reputation with these large companies, But with these sources, I do not want to. Yeah. I already talked about how Twitter sucks for this. Yep, talked about that. I do believe in what I saw. All right, let's start with supply chain analysts. All right, let's start with supply chain analysts. Ming-Chi Kuo. You might have heard him before, especially if you like watching Apple leaks. Ming-Chi Kuo is pretty much the main Apple hardware leaker. He's got like a 70% correct prediction rating. Very good at what he does, and he has started taking a interest in XR leaks purely because of Apple getting into the XR business soon. He wrote a couple days ago on Twitter that he believes Cambria will be called the Quest 2 Pro. It will release in the second half of 2022. And it reiterates what I've heard, that it's going to have mini LED displays at 2160 by 2160 per eye with two two-piece pancake lenses. So first of all, I want to also talk about naming schemes. I will be from now on calling Cambria Quest 2 Pro. Not just because of Kuo. Kuo is already him putting his name, his mark, updating a prediction to that Quest 2 Pro naming was already interesting. But there's a new analyst there's an analyst in the China market you might have never heard of if you're from the West. Let me introduce Black Hair Sheriff 008. That is his username. And there's something really funny about that too, if you've never seen him before. So Black Hair Sheriff, this might be loud. Hopefully it's not. Okay, I'm probably don't want to play this. Unmute this. Okay, it's not loud. So Black Hair Sheriff is a analyst that is full-on XR analyst, and he posted a video like almost the same exact time, almost the exact same hour as I posted a video about Meta's Retina or human eye resolution video. Same exact time. Keep that in mind because we'll go back to that in a minute. But this analyst here, he is very well known for anything relating to a company known as Goartec. Goartec is pretty much the most popular and well-known and largest manufacturer of VR headsets. They are going to be mass producing the PSVR 2. They are going to be mass producing Cambria. They already mass produced Quest 2, and they mass produce all the Pico headsets. Pretty important company, right? Oh, also they're working on designing and will eventually also manufacture whatever Microsoft is working on for their next XR consumer product. So, very important company. This guy right here, Goartec, the Goartec guy, we'll call him that, right? So he posted this video, and in that video, I'm just gonna go over what he said. He said that Kuo is correct for what he posted on Twitter. He does believe it will be called Quest 2 Pro as well, and that will be announced on September's Meta Connect for release, like right after, probably, like announced order, you know. Similar to how Apple events work. Another notable thing is he said the Cambria name meaning is exactly what I expected what it meant, which that's pretty cool. He said that Cambria is a relation to the Cambrian period of life where there was a giant explosion and a ton of different species. And this time period, this holiday season, is going to be the big boom that everyone has been waiting for XR. And Cambria is going to, hopefully, for at least what Meta thinks, is going to introduce the door to that. The technologies that will make VR and XR finally full mainstream, right? You can't find him on Twitter. He's not on Twitter. This guy's only on like WeChat, pretty much. So, which is a Chinese social media thing. It'll be targeting the high-level market called Quest 2 Pro. Quest 2 will still exist. I mean, we kind of knew that stuff. It will be high cost, and the cost of materials, the bill of materials. That means every single piece inside of the entire kit of Cambria, or Meta Quest, or Quest Pro 2, or yeah, Quest Pro 2, I'm gonna call it that, is around $800. That is just for every single component to build the entire thing, the entire kit, right? That is really expensive, first of all. That is really expensive. Just to give you, so the latest iPhone Pro series, they only reach around $500 for the entire thing. And that's already considered very expensive for a bill of materials. And bill of materials don't even account for the R&D costs, the shipping costs, the logistics. Like, that's already a high bill of materials, is what I'm trying to say. Expensive to make. Okay? That is not the final price for what they're going to sell it for. Now, I heard this is one of the things I have heard, and I'm not allowed to repeat. But before this, I heard a price for Meta Cambria or Quest 2 Pro that I didn't want to believe because it seemed pretty reasonable. And he goes on to say that the supply chain and some industry people close believe that Meta will actually subsidize the Cambria headset. And if the price I heard is how much they're subsidizing it, then I think, like, if that's true, right? If that's true, I think this device would be even more disruptive to the XR market than Quest 2. Now, again, it's still considerably expensive, more expensive than Quest 2. But pricing the features at the price I've heard, that would be honestly insane to me. But again, we'll see. Pricing and naming are two things that companies can decide at the last minute too. That's always another thing. I've seen a lot, like, you see this a lot in the console, like the game console business. Like a company will wait for one company to announce a cost for a console, and then they'll swoop in right after and like undercut them. But yeah, the main reason that people feel in the industry that they're going to do this is because people believe there is a fear within Meta of the Apple HMD, which is very likely to release or be announced this year, later this year, Q3 or Q4 announcement this year. Obviously, that is something terrifying for a lot of people in the industry that has been trying to build up a platform, you know? So, another thing he said that was very interesting. Some Chinese domestic companies have configured similar hardware of this product to make their own new products. They will be released even before the Quest 2 Pro, and they'll have even stronger subsidies. Now, this is from what I understand. So my wife is Chinese. I have a wife and she's Chinese, so she translates everything for me. But from what I understand, it sounds like that companies are all, like Chinese companies, like domestic Chinese companies, are also making very similar hardware and are going to try to beat Meta to that punch. There was something going around considerably for let's see, Bobo. You guys might have saw this. Did you guys see this? This was I'm sorry, it's cut off a little bit. Hold on, let me fix that. So Bobo VR, which is an accessory maker for Quest 2, they showed off whatever the heck this thing was. I didn't really want to talk about it, but after the Black Sheriff thing, like, this looks way more simpler than Cambria would be. So I wonder if this is one of those I don't want to say knockoffs, but you know. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Where did my thing go? Oh, it's right here. All right. Obviously the device has face and eye tracking. We knew that. I mean, that's probably Zuckerberg's most important. Like, that's the feature that Meta has focused on more than anything. Probably is that eye and face tracking. They also believe that with the release of Cambria, or Quest 2 Pro, whatever it's called, there's going to be an explosion in that specific hardware market, which is obviously the camera components and like all the cameras that are related to tracking your eye and facial movements. And the cost of these components are going to drastically drop a lot, which is important because if they want to make a Quest 3, which is going, eye and face tracking is going to be like one of the first features going in Quest 3, right? This explosion in all these part manufacturers and bringing the cost down will make Quest 3 still cheap, which has always been the plan. He even goes to say that he believes that there will be a lot of virtual avatar streaming on services like TikTok, which does not surprise me. I know, I don't know if there's any VTuber fans in the audience. I enjoy VTubers. I enjoy becoming a VTuber once in a while. And people believe with Cambria, which is again going to be possibly cheap enough for consumers, possibly. More people want to try to do videos with a avatar with good facial expressions in the corner of their video. TikTok obviously would love to do that because TikTok owns Pico, and Pico is going to become a big company as well for this industry. They are expanding very fast. They're hiring a ton of people. So, yeah. Yeah. VTubers are pog. I agree. I love me some VTuber. What's your favorite VTuber? If you watch VTubers, who's your favorite? And I want to know right now so I can judge all of your tastes. I'll answer questions a little bit, guys. I have so much to go through. I'm sorry, but I don't want to be distracted. Okay. And of course, finally, we knew this. Quest 2 Pro or Cambria is going to be very also focused on mixed reality features, AR through VR. Brad Shan? Freaking based. VTubers are cringe. I want to ban you. All right. Anyway, yeah. And they said the AR functions will be more powerful than was originally expected. The original expectation for the color pass-through was just going to be Quest 2, but with color pass-through. But you'll see later on, I have explanations of how their color pass-through system works. Mostly thanks to Samulia, who did so much digging, but we'll get to that. It's some really cool stuff they're doing in the software. And here's the last thing I really want to talk about that I think is incredibly interesting. I don't know what it means. I want to come to an early conclusion because I just made a video about something. The final thing that this analyst said, Meta will use a new technology that will significantly improve the clarity or high resolution experience. The resolution perceived by customers will be much higher than the physical resolution. I'm guessing it's based on eye tracking or Pancake. I'm not sure about... He wasn't sure how they're doing it. Now, earlier I said that he released this video with all of these updated leaks, basically, predictions. And he released this video almost the same exact time I released the video, like 2 days ago or something. I don't remember, 2 days, I think. Where I talked about a system called T-Rex that was in the Quest 2 kernel, right? And I talked about how DigiLens was very proud of this technology, how they were showing it on their website, then it disappeared. So it made me think with a tinfoil hat that they might have Meta might have purchased an exclusivity license to that technology. That being said, I was talking to some people and hearing from some people, this technology working for LCD would not be as good for effectively doubling the resolution, but it would be effectively useful for removing any screen door effect for the visual user. Way better than just not having it. If they did use this system, I'm saying in like a VR form factor, right? So that last point was just pure coincidence. Pure coincidence that I made a video about technology Meta is clearly looking into to double resolution or remove screen door effect of their panels, which would be pretty freaking awesome. The wobbling. If you haven't watched that video, by the way, watch it. Please watch it. Not because for the views, but that was probably one of the most coolest videos I've ever made because I thought it was just such an interesting technology, and it was one of those videos I felt really felt good about. So it's called Meta's Human Eye Resolution Prototype. Yeah. So practical VR hype. I don't want to be a hype beast. That's another thing. I don't want to be a hype beast. I just want to make predictions. I hype myself up sometimes, and that kind of comes through. But like again, that's why I do these long streams, so I can explain every little bit of what I heard and what I understand, and piece it all together. So if you have these long streams, you know how I come to it. It's not me just typing random stuff on Twitter, you know? That's why I do these streams, if I have to. We already talked about these versions, why basically I believed. So that's another thing I didn't really go into. I still don't know why my cursor is disappearing. All right, so, oh, where did I put that tweet? Ah, no, I might have lost it. No. No. Okay, hold on. I lost it. So I made a I reported in January of this year that Meta was already working on supply lines, or getting the deals made for supply lines for micro OLED. And I reported originally that it was going to be for Quest 3, not for Cambria, right? That was originally what I said, because I heard that from very, very high up sources. And that again helped the corroboration with the CBright and all that stuff. And also recently hearing that the supply chain expects micro OLED, high quality micro OLED, to be ready for high tier OEMs in 2023. It's my belief, since Apple is releasing a headset with micro OLED displays earlier before anyone else, for sure, that Meta wants to have a quick revision of their Pro line, or their high tier line, and include micro OLED displays of their own, just to have a better competing high-end product against Apple. That corroborates with stuff I've heard in the sources, stuff in the data mining, and it's also pretty clear that they're working on Quest 3, or at least prototypes for Quest 3. However, due to the fact that Quest 3 prototypes are basically cutting down features on the Pro line and making it cheaper, I don't think it'll take them as long to develop a Quest 3 as long as it takes them to develop the original Cambria headset, which is clearly almost 4 years in the making. Very clearly that. So again, my belief is due to all that stuff put together, Quest 2 Pro this year, Connect. Quest 3 and Quest 3 Pro next year, Connect. CBright and Eureka 865. The CBright is expected to have a custom, I say custom, but from what I understand is originally, it's crazy. I reported much earlier in the year that Facebook was working on custom silicon, like for high-end devices. But then I heard a change that they're actually going to be working with Qualcomm on a better chip for that device. That's later on, not this year. And what's funny is the information actually just released I should have had it ready to pull up. The information just released an article like yesterday saying the same thing basically happened for their successor to the Ray-Ban smart glasses. So this is happening to multiple projects. It seems to be the reason is their progresses in custom silicon are not fast enough to be competitive to release things next year. So they're still working with Qualcomm all the way. Yeah. Makes sense. And obviously, if you're using 3K per eye OLED microdisplays and probably better sensors and stuff, you do want a better chip than XR2 Generation 1. All right. So let's get into firmware of Quest 2 Pro, or Cambria, whatever you want to call it, whatever it's called. I don't give a crap. It's all names at this point. The firmware, Quest 2 firmware already has ready-to-use neural networks for a lot of different things. We're going to be talking about eye and face tracking. So they were building the neural networks, which are basically machine learning networks to make sure that everyone has a good experience with eye and face tracking. They've been iterating on it a lot. They were using a very popular one that a lot of people uses, but it seems when they release, they're going to be using a very new Facebook-made neural network. There will be 5 cameras for just the face, the eye and face tracking. 5 cameras pointed at your face directly inside the device. 2 of them are pointed at the eyes. 2 are pointed at the left and right of your mouth. And then 1 of them is pointed at your glabella. Glabella. The glabella one, I heard from a source that the face tracking will also be able to track eyebrows expressions, which is a lot of those face tracked headsets or any headsets. There's not many of them. There's only the HTC Vive face tracker. That is not a feature. So this will be like one of the first headsets that can track, well, obviously all of these built in, but also eyebrows as well. And that's what the tracker point at your glabella right here is for. What if you have a unibrow? That is a good question. All right, a lot of people have asked me questions about, so we all know that Cambria is going to have Pancake lenses. And you see a lot of different, so there's a lot of different Pancake lenses on the market, right? We've seen some with things called diopters. Diopters are those little things you can turn them, and they can change a prescription level. I heard absolutely nothing about a diopter for prescription on this device. It's likely it does not have a diopter for prescription. It's actually more likely that they expect you to wear glasses if you need to wear glasses in this device. The eye tracking has basically in the eye tracking code, they can detect if the user is wearing glasses and be able to tweak itself to perform better for glasses users. So yeah. Yes. The XR2 can handle all this camera bandwidth. I'm glad you bring that up because we're going to explain another thing. So XR2 actually only can support officially 7 cameras for a VR device. That being said, Meta is like, I don't care about your limits. I never did. We are amazing with software. We are going to bypass that. And the way they bypass it, so if they had, okay, let's say they were limited by XR2 cameras. They're using what's called a FPGA, which is a special chip, and they're actually outputting all the data from those 5 face and eye tracking cameras through that FPGA. And when it gets to the XR2 only really thinks that's 1 camera. That's what the FPGA is doing. Very smart, very interesting way to get past it. And again, these eye and face tracking cameras are very low resolution, so they can do that, right? So, yes. IPD is automatic. I have not heard anything about motorized IPD. But when you have eye tracking, they can always guide your IPD adjustment. They can always help you with that. So this is a bunch of stuff related to how the camera systems work. All the names for the different cameras. We have Canyon left, Canyon right, face right B, eye right B. Ignore the B's. I shouldn't say those. Face right, eye left. Glacier right, glacier left, face top, and teton, which I've been told that teton means nipple in French. Teton. That is the high resolution camera. All right, we still have all the exact models for each camera, so we can even like look up the resolution and everything just by pulling up a easiest thing. Yeah. Yeah. That is correct. Yeah, so these are just the different camera models that'll be in Cambria. I'm not gonna go through them, but we can look them up, see the part pieces. This OmniVision company is clearly making some good money. And then the biggest camera, which is the most expensive camera sensor, is a Sony IMX471 with a 16 megapixel resolution. It's in a lot of smartphones. It's in this camera's in a lot of smartphones. You can see that here. Yeah. But that's not what's. There's only one of those. There's only one of those cameras, right? Oh, and there's also. I'll actually get to that a little bit later. Yeah. So that camera does so Cambria is doing something very interesting to do color pass through. It's not what I expected. I thought they would have two high resolution color cameras at a high refresh rate, doing just basic binocular vision. That would be way too easy or hard, depending on who you ask. So what we figured out, or what Samulia found, is that the way that they work, there's two cameras on what you could call the bottom left and bottom right of the. Okay, I have this. I might as well use it. Here and here, two cameras, right? That will be used purely for what's called Luma Detection. Just to give you what Luma. This should be a good. No, not that Luma. Not that Luma. So yeah, basically Luma is another fancy word for being able to composite things on top of each other. None of these are showing well. This is like the closest we got, I guess, to showing. Like this is like a Luma key, right? The idea is to be able to like get depth data a little bit. And those two cameras will do that. They are not high resolution cameras, but what they do is they get the 2i data from these faster cameras, and they get the depth from a projector as well. But they use that high resolution 16 megapixel camera to overlay the color in HD on top of that, using some really bizarre software thing they're doing. If you've ever it's software magic basically, because they want the ability to have two cheap cameras that are super fast, and also the high resolution of the middle camera. So they're fusing both with software. It's still like bizarre to me, but that's what they're doing. I want nipple edition. Yeah. Yeah. No, this is not. I'm gonna reprint another one because it's not the scale. Yeah, it's too small. Obviously, I mean, obviously this is too small, right? I can't fit on my freaking face. All right. So this is just all cameras. So different codenames for cameras. There's the Canyon cameras, which I think are the cameras on the side. Personally, there's two cameras. You've even seen on my render, two cameras on the side, right here and here. I believe those side cameras are mostly for the actual drift correction for the IMUs, which, you know, if you know anything about markerless inside-out tracking, they use fast cameras that can mark different points in a room automatically, and they combine that data with IMU and compass data to figure out where you are in the positioning of your room. I think that's what those two cameras are for. And Canyon also kind of reminds me of like, this is a Canyon, drops off. I don't know. Esker, that's all the face and eye tracking cameras. Glacier, again, is those likely those two bottom left and right cameras. I'm guessing they also do hand tracking as well, because if you're already working on doing like a composite of your environment, it makes sense to have those cameras which are already pointing outward anyway, down, to also do hand tracking. Hand tracking will probably be better in this device as well. And the Teton again, the Teton is the nipple. And the Quest 2 firmware already has platform permissions for eye and face tracking. So, I mean, we already knew developers have this device in hand and are already tailoring their software to be able to activate eye and face tracking. I mean, we knew that. That was obvious. You gotta have some content ready for whenever they release later this year. Yes. Oh, and also finally, all that stuff I said about Luma and depth cameras and overlaying the color, high resolution, high definition camera. They also have projectors, IR projectors in the device in the front, projecting outward. That helps with the time of flight and gathering depth information. It should also work for your hands, I would think too, which is how they will probably get way better hand tracking to what they have now. But the idea is, again, they want mixed reality to be a big part of this device, right? So not only just for hand tracking, but also your entire room and gathering depth data using assisted projectors. Yeah. Yes. Could those sensors track in the dark? They should be able to, yes. The good point to mention though is when it comes to overlaying the color on top of that, obviously if you're in a dark room, that's going to show for the color camera too. You know, it's going to be dark, but it seems like the actual Glacier cameras are going to be able to work well in the dark. Those are the important ones, honestly. Those are the important ones for mixed reality more than that color one. The color one is like cosmetic, I would like to call it. Like that one's just like make it look pretty, right? Like make everything look pretty. We got some dumps as well for the controllers. Even the controller I saw, which I did see the controllers for that picture of that device I was talking about, they did look exactly like this. They did look exactly like this. So this is basically what you're going to get in the final version. They do their own SLAM tracking. You know, they got their own, like, I think it's like Snapdragon 400 series chips to do their own processing. Built-in batteries, cannot remove them because they're doing way more heavy power. And they communicate to a synchronous boss inside the headset to send all that captured data and spit it out. These controllers seem like they're going to be very impressive. I've heard a lot of good things about these controllers. This is an early version of the firmware, but they also mentioned that there might be I didn't hear anything about this, but I just kind of want to talk about it. Apparently there is touchpad strings inside of the actual camera or the controller. So I was talking to people like maybe if they want to have like, see how there's like a groove here, like a groove that goes off, whereas the Quest 2 controllers are like super flat all the way around. It would be interesting if they wanted to implement like a touchpad for more productivity purposes on this groove, because I think that would be pretty neat, but we'll see. Where are the sensors? There's one here, and there's one other, like two, I think, there's like three. One, and then two on the other side, I believe, that you can't see in this image. Very small, simple IR cameras, pretty much. But they're fast and small cameras. Could they do body tracking? Well, let's get into body tracking. I'm glad you bring that up. We'll talk about that in a second. Wi-Fi 6E will be in this device, the Cambria device. It's got a BCM4389 chip, which has Wi-Fi 6E for AR/VR, 6 GHz band support. So anyone that likes to play PC VR and want to spend a lot of money for a Wi-Fi 6E router, this will actually support 6E. The Quest 2 does not support 6E. It only supports Wi-Fi 6. Yes. All right. So there is some body tracking stuff in the firmware all over the place, and it keeps growing. In fact, we think this is still very prototypey. We're not really sure yet, but there's references to magnetic tracker tracking that seems to be iterating. It's like they seem to be iterating upon it within the firmwares. And it's related to body tracking, and they have inverse kinematic settings for this body tracking. I don't know how it works. I've heard that there was a magnetic tracking, full body tracking thing at some Connect one year, but I didn't get time to look into it. But yeah, if you remember a few videos ago, I talked about how there was a new prototype device in the software that was called Magpie. And the funny thing about Magpie is magpies are like the only bird in existence that is not a mammal that can recognize themselves in a mirror. So we were kind of laughing about like, hey, maybe this is like related to full body tracking, some sort of accessory related to full body tracking, due to that code name. But we don't have any exact information on Magpie. This is pretty much the end of my notes, so I'll be able to take questions. But the final thing I really want to leave everyone at the end of the stream is like at least you maybe understand why I've come to all the conclusions I've made so far. And again, it's a community effort, but I am willing to be the face of the community effort, whether it's the good times or the bad times. Apple and Sony are both coming in very hot this holiday season. Apple is expected to announce end of this year. There is some hints to that. In fact, there is some hints to that. Hold on. I've kind of retweeted something. So we got some information from some reliable Apple leakers that iOS 16 in the iPhone will have a lot of references to the Apple headset, because the idea is if you have an iPhone, you'll be able to do, special stuff together with. Apple likes to have the ecosystem work together through all their devices. The interesting thing is, as this tweet notes, is at WWDC 2014, which they laid the groundwork for watchOS by having a ton of strings related to that release at the same time, and 4 months later was when the first Apple Watch was released and announced. So we're seeing kind of what feels like a repeat of that, but for the Apple XR headset. There hasn't been any updates, but again, people mostly believe that we'll see a announcement at least at the near end of this year, with greater shipments of that device starting in Q1 of next year. We also got some information about Sony's displays, which I think is really cool. Sony's displays are very special in the fact that they are a very special of OLED. They're standard OLED. They're not micro OLED, but they are better quality OLED than anything else on the market, honestly. Like, they are special, very special. They are from the Sony displays are confirmed from Samsung. I had a feeling they would be from Samsung. It just really seemed like Samsung would supply it. They supplied the displays in the first headset, but we got confirmation of that. And Sony only got Samsung to produce those displays because they put in a very large order, of course, for those special displays. So again, if you get a PSVR 2, that even though it's not micro OLED, those OLED displays are better than any smartphone display in the market. Very high quality. Yeah. And of course, we can talk about Valve, which Valve is also working hard. Microsoft's working hard. Pico's working hard. I know people have heard about an announcement with Pico. I heard from a source that I trust that Pico does have a lot of plans to expand to Western consumer markets. Right now, the Pico Neo 3 Pro is the only thing available. It's for the enterprise market in the West, but I've heard that they do have plans for a Pico Neo 3 consumer to launch in the West. But I will note that he did also say that he did feel it'd be surprising if an announcement to that happened this week. So I'm not sure, but that's what I've heard. Pico is just another, like, there's so many companies that, again, Project Cambria, huge explosion. Every freaking large company right now is trying to make an XR device. Google, Microsoft, Pico, Meta, Valve, Apple, Sony. Yeah, Sony's working on like starting R&D for another device after PSVR 2, by the way, already. Yeah, just madness. This is a good time to be in the XR industry. So, yeah. Silicon Sapphire donated $10. If you donate during my spiel, I'm sorry that I might have missed some. But do you think this would be good for photogrammetry? If the time of flight features are as good as I think they are, it should be able to do some photogrammetry. Again, they have the IR projectors, they have the depth sensing stuff available. I think it would be really cool for a VR device with mixed reality stuff inside it to do some photogrammetry or 3D scanning. It makes sense to me. XR2 is almost 2 years old now. It kind of sad that other companies are just releasing stuff using it today. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, actually. It is really... And like, what, XR2 is still on the 7 nanometer node, for example. I think Qualcomm's working on getting on 3 nanometer node already. I think I heard that. or maybe that was 4 nanometer. But yeah, I'm guessing the next generation XR2, which there's not going to be an XR3, there's going to be an XR2 Gen 2 and probably an XR1 Gen 2, even though they're not going to be based on the same chip likely, and they're probably going to be on way better nodes, and the performance gains will be considerable due to that. So, do you still see I personally still see a PSVR 2 for this year, even if it might be later this year. Um, yeah. But yeah. There is a lot of issues with the supply chain right now, though, guys. I know, like, even for large companies, it's starting to hurt them, which is when you start hearing that so what's happening in China is there's COVID outbreaks, and they're just locking down everything. For a while, it's been like mitigated pretty well against, like, I'm talking about large companies. Small companies, they've been devastated by this as always, but like these large companies have not been affected. But it is starting to trickle up to the large companies now, which is not good for companies that are wanting to release devices later this year. But yeah, we'll see. Could Lidar be in? Yes, Lidar will be in VR and AR devices, 100%. The idea is they actually really want Lidar devices or Lidar sensing in these devices. And that's another reason why, like, any large company that puts LiDAR sensors in multiple product lines, like an iPhone and then a VR AR headset, they're ordering more, which means companies are going to make more, and then the cost will go down. So then more companies will be willing to purchase LiDAR sensors, and then it'll be a domino effect, which LiDAR is just arguably a great technology for this kind of mixed reality stuff for sure, right? Like yeah. Do you know the original bill of materials? I don't know the original bill of materials for Quest 2. I didn't have time to ask around for that. Someone else asked me that earlier today, and I really didn't know. I really had no idea. I think the thing is the industry has changed a lot. We used to have like zero people, literally zero people, reporting on supply chain stuff like a couple years ago. But because that all these giant companies are getting into the XR, we have a lot more people are willing to spend time, like me, to try to dig deep into what companies are ordering and like at the prices and stuff. So, but that is a good question. I would like to know the bill of materials for the Quest 2 as well. Will the Apple have the most powerful standalone? Probably. It seems like that is the one thing that Apple just seems like they're going to release a device that is ahead of its time. Just in general with display technology. Another interesting thing to know about Apple's Pancake lenses, they're using a type of Pancake lenses, but it has three layers on it compared to Meta's 2 layers. So you have to wonder what is going on with that extra layer that they're spending $10 per lens to add to their devices. And of course they're gonna have micro OLED, so like it's gonna be expensive, right? Like we all know the Apple VR headset is gonna be extremely expensive, but it's going to feel ahead of its time, I would say, from what we hear about it. Yeah. Can you elaborate on the Cambria not looking like it has any blinders to block? I didn't see really much blinders. We haven't seen much in general related to blinders, right? I wonder if that's again, I think the main reason is they are trying not to have this be a VR focused device for gaming, which gaming in VR you don't want to see any of the world, right? Like at all. At all. And they also I mentioned earlier in the stream, they want people to be able to wear their glasses no matter what shape and size they are, it seems as well. So maybe that's why the design but we'll see we'll see. I just think this is not a VR gaming device. I mean, well, we know that. We just know it's not a VR game device. It will be able to run Quest games and applications, but it's not a gaming focused device. There not to say that there couldn't be an attachment that magnetically attaches to block out things, right? Like I think the Lynx has that feature. So like I don't think they would limit that, right? Imagine something like laser tag with AR. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff gonna happen with AR. I think I said this before in the last stream I did, but I said I think people will be very surprised about what people come up with uses for this mixed reality stuff. Also, I think there was a super chat earlier that I'm going to answer now about whether this would be for outdoor usage, like these devices. I don't think so. Like, you might see some people outside with them, but I don't think the plan is for people to walk around with them outside. I think these are still going to be very heavily at the home, indoor use, or if enterprise wants to buy them as well, they can have that option. So just to answer that question. Who is asking for a non-gaming device? Well, no, I think you're confusing. It's like smartphones. I hate to use this example because smartphones are honestly limited to what they can do compared to XR headsets, in my opinion. But smartphone, you can have a high-powered smartphone, and you can play a ton of games on them, right? You even can play AR stuff on smartphones already with the sensors in them. It's just the idea is to start with gaming and then build off to multiple things you can do in the headset or a lot of these products. You know, it's not that they're abandoning the gaming aspect. They're just wanting to make it more valuable of a device for consumers in every different way. Telepresence, productivity, all those things. Is that NDA? Oh, the NDA headset I talked about before, and I think Thrills. I don't think it's coming this week, but I really don't think it is. Yes. When will the Quest 3 come out? My prediction is we'll see a Quest 3 and a Quest 3 Pro, which is, I guess you can call that a Cambria 2, Connect 2023. That is my current prediction. Um, yes. Just like how Apple kind of releases like a new iPhone and then an iPhone Pro series with it. I think that's what they might be doing next year, my opinion. iPad Pro is the example. That's a better example, actually. iPad versus iPad Pro. I like that example better. VR game developers will use Cambria 100%. It looks much more comfortable to put. Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be a comfortable device. I think that's another thing people will be very shocked about is how comfortable the device is. And that's mostly to the Pancake lenses for sure. Pancake lenses are going to make people not want to use any other lens system for headsets because of the amount of thinness you can have in these devices. Hey Brad, awesome. Oh, thank you for the 100 sec. Awesome presentation. If you had to choose one of the big companies' next headsets, who do you think will be the biggest flop? Google. Google. I think Google. Yeah. I think Google's coming in too late, and I don't know. Something about Google, I never really trust they're gonna do well. Microsoft is another possibility, but you know, so the one thing that Microsoft really does well is they really like know how to get normal people into their software ecosystem. Especially if they're enterprise. Like and they have great cloud services, right? And they can always leverage that. Google does have some interesting things, but I feel like I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Google's even worse than Microsoft. I don't know. Any Valve news? Valve is on vacation this week. Valve has a famous Hawaii vacation where they take all the employees into a very high expensive hotel, and it's actually kind of a trap. It's been called a trap before because that's also when they like a lot of the employees get together and try to poach each other from their respective teams. Like some guy might be like, "Hey, I'm working on Half-Life X. Come join us, please." But then that other person will be like, no, screw that. We're working on Steam OS 3 for VR. Come join us. It's like a poaching frenzy is what I've heard about it. How do you think it'll compare to Apple's? Oh, Cambria? It'll be cheaper. I think it'll be cheaper than Apple for sure. But I think people are gonna be like blown away by the hardware of Apple. And I think people will be impressed by Cambria or Quest 2 Pro, whatever it ends up being called, but I think it's not gonna blow minds like the Apple headset hardware wise. MRTV mentioned on his last stream that there's a new headset hitting the market this week in predictions. I honestly have no idea. I was even asking around about that. I was trying to see if anyone knew anything about that. And yeah, I don't know. So I was originally thinking it was Pimax because I know Pimax is planning to release. So you know the Pimax 12K QLED, right? Well, I've heard that a 5K and 8K reality series are also being worked on for that series. So like standalone functionality and all that stuff, XR2, but at cheaper price points than the flagship 12K headset. But I don't really see them as a competitor to Meta, like Sebastian was saying. So maybe it's Pico, but again, I do know Pico wants to expand. I got confirmation of that. I just don't know how soon that will be. Can they legally call it 12K? Freaking marketing. Marketing in XR is a freaking nightmare. Honestly, I freaking hate marketing in XR. I hate the naming scheme for that, actually. I'm glad you knew that would trigger me, didn't you, Eric? You knew. You knew. Yeah, I don't think you should name headsets after resolution, especially when it's like 5K, 5.5K per eye. A 5K, yeah, no thanks. I don't. That pisses me off a lot. It's like you just want me to go on my nerd tangent there. So my original Quest 2 Pro release was obviously I'm bad with release dates. I'm gonna admit that I'm bad with release dates. I'm wrong about release dates a lot of times, and that's why I'm always say when I predict a release date, I'm like release dates are very flexible, especially in a supply chain crisis. But yeah, my original prediction was Q2. Ended up being ready for mass production in Q2. Doesn't count though. But yeah, I think Connect, we'll hear about it fully in Connect. Meta 4K. Pimax is going nowhere. I just think, so my opinion is, and I know there'll be a lot of people disagreeing with it. I think Pimax has a niche market they can continue being niche in. But my opinion is I want devices to become more comfortable and smaller on my face. I don't want them to become possibly bigger on my face and give off more heat and stuff from giant displays. But yeah. I was talking today about how some people like to sleep in VR, and I said I've done it a couple times, but it's still headsets are not comfortable enough to do that, like falling asleep in VR. Which I know maybe some of you never heard this term before, but there's like a lot of VR chat worlds where they are built purely for the idea that you would fall asleep in them, because they'll have like very cool effects, like just stars floating around you, like a very calm and nice place. But headsets are too heavy and bulky and uncomfortable to do that. Large FOV is nice, yeah, I know. I talked about this before, but did you know, according to what I've researched about Valve Index and the lens system for, so you know how Valve Index has a pretty large FOV compared to most headsets and like the higher tier markets, right? I believe that was mostly an accident. The patents for those lens systems were originally detailing how they were meant to make micro displays larger. because there's a lot of things that ended up in Index were actually a product of a project called Vader, which was a project that Valve really wanted to create like the best experience, and they were looking at OLED micro displays all the way back in 2016 when they started this project. But obviously, the market hype around VR in 2016, the hype cycle ended up dying faster. So no company could convince manufacturers to mass produce micro OLED displays for VR. So they kept the R&D they made for the lenses, the dual element lenses, but then paired them with much larger displays, LCD, and the rest is history. They ended up getting a larger FOV because I think originally they were planning to use a much smaller display. Cool little tidbit, and yeah, I love that tidbit. I love talking about that. Predictions for Metagaming Showcase? I don't know, but I plan to stream it actually. I don't expect any hardware there, obviously, but I do want to watch it because I think they have to be big with this one. Last year's Metagaming Showcase was garbage, honestly. Like I only remember what they announced, but it was really bad. Yeah. I also found I got people mad about this, but I reported that a trademark was filed December of last year from Stress Level 0. And the trademark was for a software, and the trademark was Bone Lab. That might be the name of Project Zero, the official name. I don't know if they're going to announce it at a Metagame Showcase, but yeah, they trademarked that. The only other trademark they've Stress Level 0 has done from my checked up on is Boneworks. So Boneworks has a trademark, Bone Lab has a trademark now. The DigiLens patents show the brag, but this is an Imagine Optics patent. Are DigiLens owned by Meta? How come they have a... So, okay. Good point. So Imagine Optics, I'm sure you watched my video, right? So Imagine Optics and DigiLens, you can kind of call them competitors almost, or they were competitors. Obviously, Imagine Optics did not get nearly as much funding as DigiLens is getting right now. So I guess you can say they lost the battle. But they do a lot of the same stuff, honestly, like very similar stuff. And Meta ended up purchasing the entirety of Imagine Optics, but not DigiLens. DigiLens is not owned by anyone, like not one company. But when I see this interest in T-Rex and stuff, I know that Meta is probably going to use Imagine Optics to do a lot of similar high-end R&D for lens systems like DigiLens does, or maybe even possibly, and this is speculation, Imagine Optics did build a factory to build lenses at mass scales, roll-to-roll processing and everything. Maybe Meta wanted to buy a license to DigiLens technology, which was, I guess, better than Imagine Optics technology, but mass produce it in the factories they now own thanks to acquiring Imagine Optics. That is a guess, but it wouldn't surprise me, honestly. Especially if you cannot convince... There's another problem with lens makers in China, right? So there's only like a few very good lens manufacturers that can make high-tier Pancake lenses and stuff at high volumes, and they're all being used by the same tier 1 companies. Sony, Apple, and Meta are all using the same company to make those. And yeah, that's kind of a problem, as you can imagine, because they can build more fabs, but I imagine Meta might want some breathing room a little bit, but I don't know. That is annoying. Any opinion on the I don't like Arpara. Sorry. I don't think it's a good quality headset. Sorry. I did watch it. Great breakdown, even though your ADHD had me all over the place. My Dude, I think it was a cool... I, again, love that video. I think it was a great video. I loved it. It was cool. Wish Valve would show the same effort that Meta has toward VR. Well, you're talking about a company... So Valve is a company with like 400 employees. And Meta is a company with like 10,000 VR employees and growing every day. And they're poaching talent from every other company. I don't think they'll ever be able to compete with that. But I do think... So I think Valve will still do well, because I think they'll continue to target the PC VR enthusiast market. where no other company's gonna do that. like no other big company, right? No other large company. So I think what they're making is still gonna be a very competitive product compared to even Apple and Meta, even if it's for PCVR enthusiasts, right? Yeah. Bradley should come back as a VTuber. I've done VTuber stuff. It's like my holodeck video where I where I explain the code name for SteamOS 3 on Steam Deck. It's codename holodeck, and I did that all in VR. So you know, like the it's always sunny in Philadelphia, where they have all the strings and all the conspiracy photos put together. One day, and one day I'm gonna literally make one of those, but VR themed in my room, so I can like whenever I do these videos or streams, I can have it in the background. So I think it would be great, and it would yeah, that would be great. How long have I been streaming? You guys have been very nice with the donations. I really don't feel I deserve it, but thank you very much. Not one more thing, sorry, because you guys made me really happy. So I my brain turned off. So this is like the first time ever I've pushed my Patreon. And I only pushed it for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And thanks to all your support, I'm nearly making almost $600 a month with Patreon, which I never expected I would get that much, honestly. And that money is allowing me to plan for more events, like in real life events, like industry events to go to. The first one you're gonna see content from is next month. I'm going to an event called SID Display Week. And the cool thing about it is I've started getting interviews lined up, and one of the interviews I have lined up is with the CEO and COO of a company that I believe both Valve and Meta are working with to design their micro OLED displays. So I'll be able to interview them and ask about micro OLED displays and all that cool stuff, and I'm really excited about that because I'm a freaking OLED micro display nerd, and I get to freaking interview a CEO. That's pretty cool. Also plan to go on AWE, which is the month after, but again, I would not be able to look into these events if it wasn't for all your support. So thank you. Thank you for not only dealing with this madness, but also God, you're funding this madness. What's wrong with you people? Yeah. No, it's not Imagine Optics. It's called Imagine. Imagine. Different from Imagine Optics. I know, freaking bizarre, but anyway, thank you for $5. Yeah, let's take a few more questions. How long have I been streaming? Oh, only an hour and 18. Okay, let's go. Let's do 10 more minutes of questions. I don't want to make this stream too long because I know people want to watch the VOD and they get terrified when they see a 2-hour plus stream. Could it be possible there's actually 2 XR2 chips? Not from what I've heard. I've not heard anything about 2 XR2 chips. I did think about that. I did wonder that at one point, but I could not find anything related to that being a possibility right now. But there are 2 fans, but I really did think about that quite a bit, but I couldn't find anything. Yeah. Samsung Microsoft partnership. I also did a video about Microsoft's next headset. About how Guartech, the company I was talking about, is basically using all the money and partnerships Microsoft is making with companies like Samsung, but they want to be the ODM, which basically they're pretty much designing the full hardware instead of Microsoft, and Microsoft is going to focus on the software. That's what I've heard, and I believe it very much so. I heard there's already been a delay to that because an important person involved with that project was also poached by Meta. So Microsoft cannot get a break. So is I think Deckard can come out next year for sure. If it's not announced this year, I think it like for sure next year we'll see it. Very confident in that. I talked about Mini D before in a video. They are past proof of concept phase. They are past proof of concept phase. They are on next steps, and I know those people who I know they're staring at this VOD right now or this stream, and I'm staring into the camera. I know you have a Deckard prototype. I know some of you do. I know you do. I know you do. You lucky sons of guns. But yeah, not gonna name those people. Do you think PSVR 2 will work on PC? No. I think it'll be very difficult to work on PC. I was kind of like reading and talking to people about this. So there's a huge belief that PSVR 2 has a soldered cable inside the headset, right? That's why it's not removable. And also, it has a USB-C port that plugs in the front of the PS5. There is high belief that that port is actually a virtual link connection. If you don't know what virtual link is, it was a connection that almost tried to take off during the 10 series GPUs NVIDIA. I think it was 10 series, maybe it was 20 series. I think it might have been 20 series, where they had a USB-C port directly in the GPUs of those PC graphics cards, and it was allowed to do power throughput, data, and video. There's a few requirements to have a port like that, and one thing is one of the sides of that has to be soldered in, from what I understand, or something like that, directly to a board. So, and it also has to be like, I think it's like 10 gigabytes or something per second, and it basically that statistic matches up perfectly with what the PS5 front port supports. So it's very likely that that is a virtual link connection, which adds already a huge barrier, I would say, to being able to connect that to a PC, because some GPUs might be out there that have that port, but for the most part, most of them do not. Yeah. Yes. Cable failures are huge, are kind of common. That is a huge bummer. Yeah, it is a huge bummer. I agree. So I'm not very confident that it will be like, I'm sure people will just like with PSVR 1, where I never thought people would put effort and like time into getting PSVR 1 to work on PC. They ended up making it work anyway. That's what, PC people are crazy, right? That's why I always like being a PC user, is if there's ever something that doesn't work now, later on there'll always be someone who figures out how to get that thing working. So like maybe at launch, yeah, I don't really expect PSVR 2 to be easily plug-inable to a PC, but maybe later on people will hack it together and figure out ways to get past it. Do Pancake lenses help with sunburn in? Like if you have it directed to the sun? No. It probably will not, in fact, help at all with that. I don't expect any. You should never expect any type of lens that in fact, it might even be. Will it be worse? Just try not to have your lens pointed to the sunlight, guys. No matter what lens system you have, just don't do it. Don't do it. According to Upload VR, Cambria will have a 4K 120 FPS camera for pass-through. Check, rewind the stream if you just came here. I explain how that works. I explain exactly how it works, and that's directly from data mining the kernel. It literally explains every single way how that camera works. Some software magic, overlaying that on top of some Luma cameras on the bottom left and right. What GPU do I have? I have the 6900 XT, because I like to use Linux a lot, and NVIDIA support on Linux is still a bit of a terror. I had a 3090 before, Started getting into Linux, started hating my NVIDIA card because I was getting into Linux, so I sold it and bought the AMD equivalent. So, yeah. What's my favorite distro? Honestly, I know this might make a lot of people upset, but I like to use I like to use Manjaro the most. So, well, Cambria, I've heard that headset haptics are not happening for the Cambria. I did hear that there is going to be force feedback triggers in the controllers for it. That's why I was told. And there was a patent. It's on my Twitter somewhere. I'm not gonna pull it up now, but there was a patent about how they do it. And what's interesting is the figure in that patent, which was like about 3 years ago. The patent was filed 3 years ago, and the actual design of the controller in that patent looks exactly like the Cambria Quest 2 Pro or whatever cameras or controllers. What's my favorite VR game? My favorite VR game is Half-Life Alyx. My favorite VR app is Neos or VR Chat. I like them. I like both. People always ask me. People always get mad because like I'll go through like bouts where I spend more time in VR Chat than Neos, but like I love them both. They're both like beautiful in their own ways, and prove to me there'll never be one singular metaverse because it's just not happening. Sansar, I've tried Sansar. I was not really. It didn't hook me right away. VR Chat Neos. Hey Bradley, is it real? What's real? Nothing's real. Real life is a simulation. We're just going the extra layer by creating the metaverse. We're creating the fake world within the fake world. I'm not being serious. I'm not being serious right now, by the way. So, how expensive do I think it'll be? I don't want to guess price. I just can tell you the bill of materials is $800, and there is a huge belief in the supply line that it'll be subsidized. That's all I can say. I'm not gonna give my opinion on it. What if the metaverse is the link out of the simulation? I'm not ready to think like that. I haven't got much sleep this past few days. But we will make up for that this week. There's not gonna be like any videos this week, by the way, guys. No videos. Sorry. No videos this week. I wanted to do this stream and then take a break. There will be another stream though for I want to live stream the Meta game showcase, even though I don't think there'll be hardware there. So yeah. You can make a religion out of that. MRTV just posted Through the Lens for the new Meta competitor. Watch on the stream. I do not want to do that because if you want to watch that, go give him views. I mean, he's making content. I don't want to react to his. He worked hard to make a video. I don't want to take any views away from him. So go watch that if you're interested. Apparently upload a video. I bet you that oh, maybe not. I don't really like Through the Lens videos, but there might be a chance I can figure out what that headset is just by looking at that Through the Lens. So, but yeah, give MRTV views for that. 20-second preview. Yeah, still give them views. Do you plan to stream the interview? No, it'll be recorded. I am trying also really hard. I don't know if I'll be able to get it, but during that interview with the OLED microdisplay company, I'm trying really hard to get a live demo of the 4K OLED microdisplay they made. That would be so cool. Like that would make my day, make my month actually, if I can get that. Cause I don't think that's been shown in any videos, and I think it would be so cool for me to be able to be the first. But we'll see if that. I don't know if it's gonna happen. So I could do a premiere. Yeah, I could do a premiere, but we'll see. What VR games do you play on a daily basis? If I'm in like a daily VR thing, it's VR Chat or Neos for sure. For sure. 100%. Yeah. Will Apple also release motion controls? I haven't heard anything about controllers for Apple. I haven't heard anything. They, yeah, I don't know how that's gonna go down. It seems like they're doing insane sensors for like super accurate hand tracking, but we haven't heard any like motion controllers, which I personally think is a mistake, obviously. Because if you want gaming on your device, I think motion controllers with inputs is way better than what hands alone can do. So, what happened to the Pimax 12K? They're apparently working on it, but I guarantee it's going to be delayed. I don't think they're gonna make it this year. I really don't think they're gonna make the 12K this year. Really don't think, especially with all the China lockdowns. Like they're probably getting hurt by that more than these giant companies. They're also getting hurt by it. So, which company is closest to probably Meta? Yeah. Watch the Apple VR controller be an iPhone. Honestly, I could see that working out 100%. I think that's very likely. In fact, I can see that happening. Maybe not be like a hugely important feature, right? Like not like, hey, you have to have an iPhone to use this, but totally can see having the ability to use an iPhone as some sort of weird controller or something with computer vision. Vive Flow style of input. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, the Vive Flow did it. And the sad thing is, if they did do this, Apple did do this, it'd probably just like actually be really good. I hate to admit it, but like that just seems like if that was something they pursued, I could see them actually like really doing something bizarrely cool with that. But I'm not really excited for the concept of them doing it though. You think a new Quest headset should have a base station option for tracking? I don't think they want base stations unless they're trying to do some sort of full body tracking system. Battery length? No idea. I haven't heard any timing for that yet. I think most people that I've heard that have tried the production ready device for Cambria, they're not trying it for a full session, they're trying it for short bursts period of time. So any answers for the hair care routine? Probably getting more sleep will allow my hair to not look so chaotic. All right, one more question. Let's make it a good one. One more good question. I'm gonna pick out the best question I see right now. Okay, there's a few questions I want to answer. Cambria will have gaze tracking. That's in the firmware, yes. Do you think we'll see Google Cardboard AR? No. How much time will you sleep? Hopefully a lot. I hope this will make me be able to sleep. Do you think the new Quest... Again, it seems like the supply chain really do believe that Cambria will be called a Quest 2 Pro. They're going to create the Pro line, the Quest Pro line, and the features will trickle down to the Quest line, but that's just supply chain. I'm just repeating what these people that are very trustworthy in the supply chain say. Yeah. Any Meta wireless dongle insight? All right, that's the final question. So there was a leak in the Oculus PC drivers that there seemed to be a special Wi-Fi USB dongle designed for AirLink, basically for the Quest or the Quest devices, that you'd be able to plug USB 3 to your computer, and it was being made by D-Link. They have since removed those strings and the references to that. But it does seem like, since it doesn't seem like Oculus is really making it, it seems like D-Link is making it and probably just getting like firmware support from Oculus or Meta or whatever. So that will probably become a product, I think, because again, it's a third party thing. Meta doesn't have to do anything. They're just they might plaster it on their website, say we you know, we license this or whatever. We agree with this. So there's 5 Airlink bridges, Basti said. There's actually 5 Airlink bridges. Okay. Well, there you go, guys. Later today, Basti564, who's in the chat. If you don't know him, he is one of the legendary Quest data miners. He's going to release a video later today with a lot of great information, I guarantee, including apparently 5 Airlink bridges that are from different brands, which still makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, that's it for now, guys. I'm sorry I couldn't answer every question, but I wanna sleep. I need the sleeps, and I gotta do taxes this week. Oh no! All right, bye everyone. Bye.